Hello, my name is Brian Ortega. I got the Freshwater Biome. I have you for 2A, and these are my partners.
Hi, my name is Marjorie.
I'm John.
Now, global location for freshwater is all around the world, so there's no specific place. The next video will show you.
Hello guys, my name is Mickey Mouse, and I'm going to teach you about freshwater. Now, Elmo's going to help me, isn't that right, Elmo?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Now, only 71% of the Earth's surface is covered in water, and 3.5 of that is fresh water. That is the water that we consume. Isn't that right, Elmo?
How am I supposed to know, man?
Are you sure, Elmo?
Yeah, that's my street name, you know?
Let's go home, Pluto. I quit.
Now, flora. This section is very important to the environment. Why? Because plants are important. For example, what would moose, amphids, deer, raccoons, mallards, and much more do without cattail, which they eat? Now, another thing that's important for are water lilies. Why? Because they shade the water, keeping it cool and allowing more dissolved oxygen to be around. Another thing, they allow shelter for small insects, but that attracts prey. Now, fauna. This is a more biological part. This involves the living part. Animals like mosquitoes, turtles, crocodiles, they're all important. It's also very important because it has its own cycles and the way it return nutrients back to the earth. Now, in biotic factors, competition is one of them. Competition involves like other species of fish and other animals fighting for survival, fighting for resources. And whoever gets the resources wins.
The competition is generally observed for acquiring some limiting abiotic factor in the environment. So plants compete for water, light, minerals, and carbon dioxide, for example. Some plants are better able to compete than others in a given portion of the ecosystem. These species exclude their competitors from that part of the ecosystem. This is called competitive exclusion. One example of competitive exclusion is observed between two species of ducktail, Spirodella and Limna, which are aquatic aeroids. Each species grows nicely in a chosen medium in a particular environment by itself. However, when both are put into competition in that very same medium and environment, one species dominates to detriment of the other. In this case, Limna giba excludes Spirodella polyhesa. Now, decomposers. The definition of a decomposer is usually a bacterium or fungus that breaks down the cell of a dead plant and animals into simpler substances. What this means is that when the organism is dead, the energy won't go anywhere unless that animal is decomposed by the bacterium or fungi. And once it's decomposed, some of the energy goes back into the bottom of the chain, which are producers. And then once the producers use this energy, they transfer it later to primary consumers when they are eaten by them. And from there, it's transferred to secondary and then tertiary. And then it goes back to the decomposer, which brings the cycle back in rotation.
Diseases are necessary. They help keep balance and moderate population. If population was not moderated or balanced, resources would be scarce. And, living things need resources. Now, symbiosis is it's the interaction between two different organisms living in close physical association, typically to the advantage of both, a mutually beneficial relationship. Alright, now, a good example of this would be the belief that the Egyptian plover and the crocodile have symbiosis by, this next animation should show you.
How are we doing today, Mr. Harold? Monique, some decay on 15. Have you been flossing, Mr. Harold? Receding gum on 24. Look, Monique! Leftovers on 32.
Oh!
Now I'm going to talk about some abiotic factors that affect freshwater. For example, pH. pH is a measure of acidity or basicity in an aqueous solution. The next one's going to be turbidity, the amount of water cloudiness. Next is nutrients, nitrogen, phosphorus, etc. And dissolved oxygen. That's the amount of oxygen dissolved in water. There are other abiotic factors like pollution, climate, and temperature, but The boundaries of an individual abiotic factor can be just as unclear as the boundaries of an ecosystem. Climate is an abiotic factor. Think about how many individual abiotic factors make up something as large as climate. Natural disasters, such as earthquakes, volcanoes, and forest fires, are also abiotic factors. These types of abiotic factors certainly have drastic effects on the ecosystems they encounter. Now, I'm going to talk about environmental stressors. Environmental stresses in the freshwater ecosystem are things like the creation of dams and water diversion systems block migration routes for fish and disrupt habitats. Another one is runoff from agriculture and urban areas hurt water quality. Now, some solutions we could do are, for example, restrict the construction of dams, provide incentives for farming businesses to reduce the use of pesticides, establishing protected wetland areas, regulate water withdrawal for human use. Those are all things we could do to protect the freshwater ecosystem.